At the tavern, have a drink or two. I'm the eclectic goat, and I'm here to play with you. We'll discuss the theory and the mechanics, how we ask for crits, Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards.
Okay. I don't know if this is going to work or not, because the universe really hates me today, but we're going to try hard. I would say YouTube is showing up a good 10 seconds late for me, but it does seem to actually be working.
Well, we're here, so
Hooray!
it's an upgrade.
Tomby says, I guess you fixed it, but no, we didn't. We just muddled along until
No.
it agreed to go live.
We did the IT favourite of turning it off and turning it back on again. We wiggled a few wires and then it just sort of worked.
we struggled with it till it decided to do something.
Well, the thing is that it still didn't load correctly, like
Not
at
really.
all.
Hopefully people will find that you're on. Hopefully people will come back and find it. It is there.
Hi, chat. Nice to see
All
you
right.
too.
The question is whether or not they are actually going to be able to find. I told people I was going to be getting a new link, but I don't know how they're actually going to find.
Let me do you a favor and put this link back up on Twitter again.
Yeah, well, I mean, if they were looking for you before, then you should be displayed as being live right now.
Okay.
So you should be on the left-hand side of the YouTube
I'm going to go ahead and repost this on Twitter. Try to help you out a little bit at least.
Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened. It initialized for a crazy long period of time. Oops, crash.
Yeah, that was my snacks dropping down and freaking my cat.
But at least it wasn't your dice. Good lord. Oh,
I'm telling you,
that'd have been awful.
It's just one of those days.
Now I'm going to have to clean that up.
This is one of those days where, alcohol and pizza is an absolute requirement.
We will cover for you.
Oh my god.
We'll cover for you. You can style this out and no one will notice. It's fine.
Oh, good heavens.
Okay, I got your link back out.
Oh my. So,
hey,
now that, the disaster is over and it only took 20 minutes for us to make YouTube behave itself. And we've probably lost almost everyone who is planning on watching because
this is fine. This is normal. I mean, I'm on B-sides once a week. This is absolutely fine. This level of
broadcasting. What are you
I
doing?
apologize for the noise. That is literally me having to pick up these chocolate-covered almonds and dump them back in this bin.
Before the cat eats them.
Exactly.
This is the level of professionalism I expect on B-sides, to be fair. So,
I have been on B-sides a number of times. I don't think it's ever been this bad.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, goodness gracious. The universe continues. Yeah. I need to get rid of my starting now link because otherwise everyone is gonna
click on the wrong link. Now other things are falling. I love this. This is hilarious.
Maybe you need.
I know that those blinds
are
coming down at some point. Those blinds are coming down and the curtains coming down and some of those posters. There's going to be like a Jim Carrey sketch any second.
Oh God.
Oh dear. Good heavens.
God, I look so bad. My thing is lagging again.
This is one of those days where, if you don't laugh, you cry. That's all there is to it.
Oh man.
Oh my. Thank you very much, Eraserhead. I appreciate the share. Hopefully we'll be able to get going properly. Okay, so now that we've just had a complete and utter nightmare, I apologize to everyone for the craziness. And I'm trying desperately to redo links all over the place because I had this posted in a lot of places. Oh my. So, we're gonna forego the regular normal introductions and we're gonna forego the pizza jokes, which probably took up this much time last time. Though I am going to invite the chat to answer the question that was originally in the link, which is what is the grossest thing you've ever eaten on a pizza? In my case, it's totally pickles because hot pickles is just not my thing. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And we're going to just ask the guests to all kind of introduce themselves as their thing comes up in an attempt to try and save some time and make sure that people that, actually sleep get to do so. So Ed, we'll start with you.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you to the Eclectic Goat for having me, inviting me over. I am, as you might be able to tell by the accent, from the other side of the pond. Hi, I create.
Don't worry. Many of my favorite people are from the other side of the pond. And my favorite otters.
Yeah.
Good. Yes, I create tabletop role-playing games. I originally started about 12 or 13 years ago now with Era the Consortium, which is a science fiction role-playing game. And since then, the games that run on the same rule set, the same core rule set, I should say, have grown in number to 19 at the current count. If you can, in fact, this is my bookshelf of books. This is what I've created. So I've created 19 tabletop role-playing games. Many of those have expansions. And today I'm mostly here to talk about Era Survival, which is a zombie apocalypse tabletop role-playing game. But like all good zombie apocalypse stories, it's not really about the zombies as much as it's about the people when the zombies are walking the earth. Civilization doesn't matter anymore.
It's not about the zombies, it's about the brains we eat along the way, right?
Oh dear. Oh dear. I mean, yeah. I'm just going to leave that one on one side and move along.
Yeah, it's fine.
The thing that makes Era Survival a little different to your average zombie apocalypse setting is that it's actually set 100 years after zombies, infected as we call them, first appeared. Humanity is dying. It's dying out. It's not going to exist in another 100 years at the current rate. There won't be any people left. People are gradually becoming infected and dying off. Certainly at a faster rate than they're surviving. With the fall of civilization comes a lot of other problems, such as just the lack of basics. Things like lack of medical supplies and so on was initially a problem. But what's actually happened is humanity is split into 13 different factions, each of which has a very, very firm idea of how you should survive the zombie apocalypse. It might be, running out and living on the ocean. It might be, oh no, the becoming infected is the future for us. It might be, we're going to defend the small towns and try to keep civilization going for as long as possible. Or, in the case of one faction, it might be, I know, let's try and harness the power of the infection to become superhuman. because that sounds like fun, but not lose our our sense of individuality and awareness while doing so, as normal people might get infected.
I have an important question.
Yeah.
Did humanity lose because there were zombie rights activists?
No.
There probably were zombie rights activists at some point. There are people who sort of think the zombies are a higher form of life. So, I mean, that in a sense that just sort of evolved from being zombie rights activists to the what we call the cult of progression. They're lovely people. They're great. They're fantastic.
So death is the highest form of life? Is that the
No, that's not death. That's becoming infected. Kill everyone is another faction who think that maybe it would be a good idea to just kill everyone because it's better than being infected. They call themselves the nihilists. Very inaccurate use of the term because they're
so not PETA then.
Oh.
No.
I bet the nihilists have got terrible taste in music.
Death metal, probably.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of era survival in a nutshell. It's really about surviving in this world, and given that you're not going to cure this. This is not something that you're going to fix. It's about surviving. It's about finding your way within this really mucked up society. And that can make it quite interesting. I've had some really interesting characters get played in this setting. One person was from the mafia, more or less exists. They basically sectioned off an island and then killed anyone who vaguely appeared to be infected. They call themselves the Organization of Friends. They're lovely.
With an acronym like OOF, I don't know if they're lovely.
I do love
Good
throwing
catch.
in that kind
Good
of
catch.
Easter egg. It's good fun. So the organization of Friends run what's called City. It's the only really remaining city. It's just called City now. And this particular character I'm talking about was the son of one of the bosses. And he decided that he was going to backpack across the world to find himself.
Oh,
in the zombie apocalypse.
Excellent.
And he'd just wander around going, do you know who my father is? Whenever someone told him that he couldn't do the thing he wanted to do. It was a brilliant concept for a character. It was just so madcap and insane. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities.
And does he
there,
does he tell the zombies? Do you know who my father is?
He has done that, and then he realized that it didn't work, so he ran away. But it was like his first resort.
So brave Sir Robin is what you're telling me.
Oh,
in the zombie apocalypse.
No. He was far more arrogant than Sir Robin.
Oh.
Sir Robin just ran away.
Farv, so far your cat is the most popular thing on this stream.
Yeah. I can't compete with cats.
We have a goat, we have an otter, now the cat.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Every stream I appear on.
Oh, there goes the blink.
Blink.
Yeah, you're delayed again.
Yay!
Now you're blurry and delayed.
Yeah, the blurry happens when you get delayed. I have noticed that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. For some reason, it hates me in particular. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe it's personal.
Maybe it is.
I mean, maybe we're also delayed and can't tell because we have icons up.
That's true.
Yeah, that I hadn't even considered that. I don't know.
So, what do you need to play this game?
Box of D10s helps. It runs on a multiple D10 dice pool.
Mm-hmm.
So having a few D10s is handy. Normally, I'd say 10 per player. The rulebook is also on the handy side. This is the Era Survival core rulebook. There are actually a few other versions.
In regard to that, and I forgive my lag, but where can you get this?
You can get it on our web store. In fact, I have some links prepared. Perhaps now is the appropriate time to put them in the comments. If I can find a good place to put them in the comments.
Yeah, if you want to put them in the comments, and then when I re-upload this, I'll also put them in the description.
Fantastic. That's the rulebook primer. That's a quick 40-page. Sort of, it gives you everything you need to play and everything that you need to do a character up to about level 5. But I figure that some people don't want to, obviously big fat rulebook. Some people don't want to shell out a large amount of money on a game they've never played before. So that's what the primer's for. The core rulebook is the one I was just showing you. And the definitive edition rulebook we did as a couple of years later on an anniversary. We is it the Era Games link? Yes, yes, I am Shades of Vengeance. That's me. It's that one. Yes. Sorry, I've just lost my train of thought. I'll get there. The definitive edition includes some more extra stories. It includes some more. Yes, that's the games page. Era-games.com/era survival is the page that sort of describes the game.
Eraserhead is our super mod.
Thank you.
We had a question if there was a PDF available.
Yes, everything is. My comments are coming up late. Yes, yes, there is a PDF available. Did my links not go through just there? Because I posted 3 links up.
Let me look.
I mean, give it 30 minutes; it'll be fine.
I would say in the chat, I see the link that Eraserhead posted, but I actually don't see yours.
Is that a mod thing, perhaps?
I don't know.
Links. Yes, YouTube will not allow non-mods to post.
Oh
links.
yeah. That's right. Okay.
Well, how about I drop them in private chat and someone else can kindly post them for me? No, there's private chat doesn't work either because of course it doesn't. I'll send them to you. No, you've just closed Discord. I'm open to suggestions at this point. I don't know.
This has been a banger of a night.
Are there other links besides the ones that Eraserhead has posted that you?
Yes, I actually did the direct store links. I can send them to you, but I literally don't have anyone else to send them to.
Send them to me over Discord.
I
will have to put them afterwards because I had to shut Discord off because it wouldn't shut up.
No, I understand.
But when I repost, I will.
I've just sent them on Discord. There is a PDF available of each of the books. I think it's really important to support those people who maybe live on the other side of the pond and don't care that much about a physical copy, maybe because they have so many. Something I can identify with. Or indeed because they don't want to pay postage on top or whatever. So yes, there is a PDF available of each book.
Well, I'll tell you this: if I decide to get it, you'll get more for it because I'm going to get the physical copy. I don't do digital.
I should say that's sort of an important point. I don't get any more for the physical. It is
really?
The physical price plus the print cost. And one of the things that I've always believed in as a creator is that you should try and make your games available for the minimum amount that you possibly can. You shouldn't be trying to gouge people for
trust
money.
Me, I understand. I'm selling my near 500-page novel at like $20, and I don't make nothing off of it. My PDFs are like $5.
Somebody has suggested that you push your island closer to the U.S.
So. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally.
Get the tugboats ready.
I would like to do that, and it's a good idea, but it wouldn't affect the prices of postage because that's the way the UK works.
Kind of like Australia. I got a friend lives out there, and whoa.
It's more expensive to send to the US than Australia at the moment.
Farv,
That
just
is
so
true.
you know,
That
you
is
are
true.
utterly frozen at this point. You might want to just go to icon mode.
You son of a bitch. Hold on a second. Oh, and of course it didn't load my icon. Give me a second.
Ed, can I ask you a question?
I mean, why would you do that?
How long did it take for you to do the first one? And what was the inspiration for getting going in the first place?
So, I promised I would mostly talk about Era Survival today, so I'll answer that for Era Survival if that's okay.
That's fine.
Even
Yeah,
though it's
cool.
not the first one.
Cool.
No, I am totally fine if you want to give a quick rundown on the series as a whole. I just thought that focusing on one might get us further.
Well, indeed, and I want to be invited back so I can talk about the other games because that's 17 episodes I've got there. You know.
I hope we're lasting 17 episodes at the rate YouTube is going.
Oh no! Don't say that.
Era Survival. It's funny actually because I had already created a sci-fi game, a low fantasy storytelling game, and a superhero game. And a friend of mine, I was actually at MCM Comic Con here in London, which for those of you who are not this side of the pond and don't know anything about the UK, fair. It's the largest comic convention here in the UK. And I was an exhibitor there for many years, and I had been for about 2 years at that point. I'd been doing 2 shows a year for 2 years. And there's a friend of mine from the US who had worked with me on my first game and on the superhero game. So he actually said to me at the end of MCM, he said, "Look, it's great. We're sitting people down. They're playing. They're playing the sci-fi game, superhero game, and so on. But what we really need is something with a little more tangible element to it. I think you should do something with cards in it." And
I'm sorry. I think you should do something with what in it?
cards. Playing
Like
cards.
Oh, okay.
I heard cod, like the fish.
That's what it sounded like to me too. Actually,
I always hear fish. It's just part of what I do.
Well, you are an otter. What do you expect?
Exactly.
So he said, I want you to do something with cards for your next game. And I said, fine. Okay, cool. And he said, this was some years ago now. So he said, well, The Walking Dead's quite popular. Why don't you make it a zombie apocalypse thing? But do your thing. And I, therefore, did exactly that. Because, he's a friend and he was looking at the audience and seeing what they wanted. So you asked what you need for the game. You can also have the cards, and what you get is in Era Survival there is a karma system, and you basically have good karma or evil karma or neutral karma. Karma is not alignment, so you. Thanks, Doug.
Are you referencing the fishing? Because I was totally going to bring that up.
I was, in fact. I'm Doug is someone who's clearly seen the link from my end and joined. So very welcome. Sorry, karma is not alignment, which means you can be a good person, going to do things and do good things. You can be evil and have evil karma, but at the same time you can try to do good and utterly fail. That's what my first character in this, the first character I played in this, was a character who had accidentally blown up one of known helicopters in existence that was going to be used to deliver medical supplies. Enormous karma immediately because they'd sentenced thousands of people to death, most likely. And that was just by welding too close to the fuel tank by mistake. So, blew up the building, killed a whole bunch of really experienced engineers and so on, and also blew up the helicopter. Huge evil karma, intended to do good. Never intended anything bad. So yeah, it gives you that opportunity, and when you have karma, you can get evil karma cards, which make something bad happen to you. But if you overcome it, you get a large reward. And you can have good karma cards, which basically just make good things happen to you, but they're a bit less powerful.
Nice.
And depending how extreme your karma is, you get more of those. If you are neutral karma, I did really want karma to be something that does reward you for remaining neutral. I always feel like neutral's often an afterthought. And for being neutral, you actually get what's called Jack of all trades points, where you are able to...
Oh, and of course my brother pops up in the comments. Thanks, Bassmaster, really? Damn you.
I was kind of disappointed we ran out of fishing jokes eventually. I thought it was going to last longer than that.
I just like carping on about them.
I'm hoping this camera issue resolves itself. It's going to be hard to show the books later if the camera is still dead.
I mean, I'm just going to share media. So
when you started doing all of this and putting all these games together and stuff, I assume that before you sat down and started writing your own, you were playing other people's games,
of course,
and getting into this. So what was the gateway drug?
You mean what was the first game I played?
You can take it however you want.
That's a complicated question.
What was the first roll of the dice that led to the...
It's a complicated question, actually, for a variety of reasons. I didn't play a role-playing game in person, or indeed online, remotely, until I was 18 and I went to university. But what I did do prior to that is I did play Mega Traveller 1, and I became very familiar with Traveller as a result, and I bought the books.
Okay.
I played Neverwinter Nights, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I became familiar with D&D 3 as a result. And several other computer games that expose the mechanics, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and so on. But what really got me into tabletop role-playing games was, in fact, Paranoia. It was the first game I played in person.
Good choice.
It was.
Nice.
I went to my university's indoor gaming society, which is what we call tabletop and board game club there. And Paranoia was offered in the first week, and it had some spots available. We only ran mostly it was one shots there. Interestingly, no game of D&D was run in the 4 years I was at university. No, not one game of D&D.
I wish I'd gone to your university.
So I played Paranoia the first week, and then the second week they were short of GMs relative to players. And they said, hey, would anyone be willing to GM? And I'm like, sure, fine, why not? So my second ever in-person game, and indeed tabletop role-playing game session, was a game of Paranoia which I ran.
See, you have a much different intro than I did.
Based off what the other guy had run the previous week, and just did my own thing.
Wow, really, Jay? Wow.
And the best thing.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to pop up enough that I could bring it up as a shared note.
Wow. Wow.
You're never alone with schizophrenia.
I suppose the answer is either Traveller through Mega Traveller or Paranoia, depending on your perspective.
See, you came in way different than I did.
However,
the
game that really caught my imagination regarding rules and so on was actually Vampire the Masquerade and by extension World of Darkness.
Interesting. When I first started, I actually I got into the RPG thing in high school because I had a random guy we met running Werewolf the Apocalypse, which was using the same World of Darkness system.
Yeah.
Then I ran into that again later after I joined the military because there was a few guys in the barracks who were running Werewolf the Apocalypse again, like a few years after that.
Yeah, I would say like 90% of people, end up starting through D&D, or at least used to.
Oof.
And like
Certainly true.
Yeah.
9%, end up with World of Darkness, and then the remaining 1% is, crammed in.
You missed Pathfinder in there, which is actually 8 of that 9% you're talking about.
Hey, I like Pathfinder.
I actually started with World of Darkness, and then I got into Rifts and Palladium Fantasy later on after that. I barely ever touched D&D. 3.5, I tried it, and I got so annoyed with it that I just dropped D&D again for years after that.
I'm not going to lie, D&D 3.5 via computer games, which is the way I first experienced it, I discovered Warlocks and completely checked out because what the actual... I'm not going to swear on the stream, I promise myself.
Oh yeah, my brother was one of those weirdos who got in with Legend of the Five Rings.
I am I am old, and therefore D&D was the only option, but it was like the old versions of...
I'm not letting you get away with that because you're not that much older than me.
But I am enough older to
You're 3 years older than me.
But that made a difference when it came as far as gaming went. There just wasn't stuff on the market, especially if you grew up in the boonies.
Okay, that one you got me on. I have to give you that one.
I'm also pretty ancient, so I think second edition was out when I was starting out. But I think
because I remember a Spelljammer in like AD&D was like one of my favorite settings, and the few times I messed with D&D.
I never had the right crowd when I was at school to actually play. I actually really was fantastically attracted to these games, and I bought quite a few of them. ElfQuest, I remember buying. D&D second edition, I remember buying. Marvel Superheroes, I had loads of Marvel Superhero stuff, and it was a struggle to get people to be interested in it. I think the actual concept of it was just a little bit too far out there for people who'd grown up playing Monopoly and Cluedo and whatever. So
you're not wrong.
Yeah, so you really had to. I think it's much easier now.
Family into it after I had written a role-playing game to get my family.
That's it. I mean, I think you have to find the right crowd. I mean, for me, I think
someone has suggested we get back to the era discussion, but
sure.
comics, Dad, you and I are going to have a conversation.
I'll just say briefly that I think the reason I think some of the things that got me started in playing these kind of games is probably some of the things that you mentioned already, video games. It was things like Eye of the Beholder and stuff like that. But it was probably the Steve Jackson, Ian Livingstone fighting fantasy books that
Lord GURPS
that set the touch paper alight, because that's got a really basic sort of combat system, look system, and all the rest of it. A little bit of dice rolling, and then you're meeting lots of characters that you'll see throughout all the fantasy role-playing games that you're going to meet over the decades to come. Lots of creatures that you'll meet later. So that was probably my gateway drug. But so it took a while for me to actually get groups to play regularly. And sadly, I do play Pathfinder and D&D quite a lot.
What is that? M. Grokmal. I'm aware of the panic. I am well aware of what you're talking about, the panic and having to convince the parents that role playing games were not demon worship on paper.
Wait, they're not?
He's like, I'm not playing anymore now.
No, what? I've wasted my life.
I do love the Tolkien wrote an algebra book, though. All right, so Era. Are there supplements to Era, or just the core rulebook, or?
I assume you mean specifically Era Survival. Yeah, there are a couple. A couple.
Those are... Oh,
that's more than a couple.
I thought for a minute those were two just very large books.
No, he's got a stack of them there.
That's 9.
I like the artwork. The artwork looks.
The artwork. Mikhail is a gem.
Really nice.
An absolute gem. He's done a really, really nice job with the artwork.
Can you hold one of those up and I'll blow it up so people can
Yeah,
take a look at the.
there we go.
There you are. That's the
Oh, yeah,
that's
there
the
we go.
infected manual.
Cool. That's really cool.
Ooh,
Nice.
that
So
is
that
nice.
particular one gives you 100 different types of infected, how the infection could mutate something, and whether it's a mutant or a shambler. So there are two kinds of infected in era survival.
Okay.
Mutants move quickly, and shamblers move slowly. Basically,
Actually, I have a question about your system, and it's
that's maybe a less
partially based on you explaining where you are located geographically.
Yep.
Because I noticed there was a shell casing dropping down on the cover of your source book there.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have to do any particular research? Because I know that firearms are not exactly readily available where you live.
That is very true. However, I actually grew up. I grew up shooting.
Oh, brilliant! Okay,
I'm a reasonably decent target shot.
All right.
And I have therefore spent a lot of time around military ranges and various other things. I've not shot absolutely everything that might possibly exist.
I was military and I haven't either, so I don't think that's an issue.
My primary fare was either short range 2.2 or long range 7.62.
Okay.
So I've been shooting since I was about 8 years old, so I know a fair bit about the way in which it's one of the reasons that one of the things that I really disagree with in World of Darkness is that in Vampire, gunnery and dexterity are the two linked things. I in Era D10 I use wits as my go-to because I believe that the mental component of shooting is far greater than the physical component of shooting.
Especially if you're shooting people you used to know.
Well, yeah, that would definitely be a factor.
Willpower.
I mean, if you want to laugh, I actually I have to import ammo from your country for one of the pieces in my collection because I have an old a 1940s era Enfield that I have to import ammunition for it.
And I have fired handguns in the Philippines. My wife is Filipina.
Oh, and, nice.
It's completely legal. I'll go down a range. Every time we go there, I'll make sure I go down a range and shoot a little bit because otherwise I don't really get to these days.
Yeah, I can understand
it's quite an expensive hobby in this country.
It still is even here.
What are your stats? You said there's wits and there's willpower.
There are I'm just frantically looking for a character sheet now. Hang on. There are 8 attributes. Hopefully that's in the right place on the screen. Yeah. There are 8 attributes which are this bit here. And there are 18 skills. And basically any role is a combination of two, usually one attribute and one skill, or double attribute.
So I understand technical and interaction, but what is personal?
Personal is things like it's about your personal abilities. It's investigation, it's brawl, it's melee, it's survival, it's stealth.
Okay.
So are there classes in this game, or?
There are not classes. It is a classless game. You grow the things that you would like to grow. Mm-hmm. The way it works is it is balanced so that if you really, really, really min-max, you are likely to run into serious trouble. Mm-hmm. Also, it becomes more and more expensive to min-max to a larger degree than perhaps D&D, for example. You're going to regret that choice. Then again, having just one in everything is also terrible. I sometimes make that character and provide it for games just as a joke. But having a few skills that you're good at and having a balance across the group is the only way that you're going to survive the post-apocalypse. Someone asked a minute ago, and I did want to answer a question. Are all of the era games linked or compatible? The way in which the era games works, it's not GURPS.
Okay.
And it's not trying to be. What it is if you were to want to combine, say, era survival and era the Consortium, if you combine era survival into era the Consortium, you actually get this, which I wrote, which is a Dead Space and Aliens inspired
Oh, nice, very nice.
expansion, because I'm a huge fan of those particular things. However, if you were to combine Era the Consortium into Era Survival, you would get a different experience. You would have sci-fi equipment landing on a planet full of zombies, and that is a very different experience to Era Survival, where you're thinking every minute, do I fire the shot or do I run, because I only have 3 shots. And it's a completely valid thing to do. I actually wrote an entire zine for Zine Quest on Kickstarter, the Zine Quest prompt. I wrote an entire zine. I've got it here. It's that one. About combining various era games together, and they all run on the same base paradigm. So that attribute skill thing I just explained is true in all of the games. All of the combat works the same way. However, the weapons are balanced differently, and there are unique rules for each setting. For example, the karma system and the limited ammunition and weapon durability in Era Survival versus the specialties and implants in Era the Consortium versus the superpowers in Era the Empowered. But I try to stick to the same paradigm so that everyone would understand how to play the other games. Once you've played one of them, you just need to learn a few new things. So you'll be reading in the book and you'll go, right, okay, well, an assault rifle in this game is these stats. It's not necessarily the same stats as the other game, but you understand how it works and you understand the limitations behind it and the benefits of it. In Era the Empowered, the superhero game in particular, your superpower is another attribute and another set of skills. It is as natural to you as lifting something heavy or walking down a corridor or being stealthy using your superpower. And I felt that was a really important aspect for that game to make it feel you don't do a check to see if you can use your superpower and then check to see if your superpower works and then a check to see what the resultant backlash from using your superpower is. That feels very it's a high barrier to using it. Sorry, I'm now going on to the
No, that's fine. I was actually gonna ask though, because you get people who aren't born with, like Spider-Man gets his superpower as a teenager, and it takes him some time to kind of acclimate. But I assume in your game, it's more like X-Men. Everybody's just kind of born with them. Or...
No, not at all. They absolutely take a long time to acclimate, and in the universe, because of the setting, it can come on you quite suddenly that you gain a power. In that sense, it can be like X-Men. But when you first get your power, you are shit. You are really bad at it. I promised I wasn't going to swear, and there I go. You're really bad at using your power when you first start. With only potentially sort of 3, maybe 4 dice in what you're trying to do, you're not going to be good at it. You're going to be very, very bad at it. And that's okay. That's all right. You learn over time and you level up and you get better at it. But the attribute represents your raw ability, and the skill represents how you've learned to hone it. So if you wanted Spider-Man, I'm going to go with Tobey Maguire, for example, at the beginning of the first Spider-Man movie, before he even makes his suit for real. That would be a really good example of what it might be like, and you could very easily simulate that in Era the Empowered by going, right, you've got 2 points in your attribute, so you have the power. You don't really know what it is, so you have 0 skill points in your power tree.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't really know how to use it. You just kind of have it, and you're going to wing it.
Someone asked if the dice rolls are similar to White Wolf's, or if there's a different way that works.
It's similar, but there are some differences. So there are some things in White Wolf's system. I like it immensely, but there are some really big problems with it, in my opinion. Particularly relating to some rather illogical behavior around wands and combat. I do not take away successes for ones. It ruins your bell curve, and I can geek out for all the math geeks around here if they want me to. But let's just say life is a bell curve, normal distribution. And I like to simulate a normal distribution, which is what multiple d10s gives you, especially over a single dice set. You will roll multiple dice, you will have a threshold that you must achieve, and you will count your number of successes. So in that sense, it's similar to World of Darkness or Shadowrun. The threshold varies based on difficulty, so in that sense, it's similar to Old World of Darkness or New Shadowrun, but not New World of Darkness or Old Shadowrun, because they both have fixed thresholds, which doesn't make sense to me. I have really, I've basically thrown away the combat rules and any combat rules that are really involved in World of Darkness, because much as I love it as a game, I think the combat rules are garbage. So the way it works is it's a roll, and then you will roll an attribute and a skill. Let's say you're shooting someone. It might be wits and gunnery, as I was alluding to earlier. You might roll your 8 dice and roll 4 successes. You'd pick up those 4 dice and roll those for damage. It's very straightforward, simple. There is a damage threshold and a kill threshold on that roll. Achieve the kill threshold, which you can armor a character against, or they may naturally be immune to kills for reasons, because they're a boss or whatever. You don't want them to go down in one shot. So you have a damage threshold and kill threshold. Achieve the kill threshold, they die instantly. A damage threshold.
You have torsos coming after you?
Well, perhaps. It depends how much damage you're dealing. You're going to have to whittle down their... you're going to have to whittle down their health.
I've been replaying Diablo 3 a lot, and there's Diablo 3 has these creatures that when you kill them, sometimes they die, and sometimes their torso then comes crawling after you.
Oh,
I remember.
And I had totally forgotten that when I first started replaying, and until I was like, wait a minute, why am I still taking damage?
Yeah, I recall this one.
I had a question. Oh, how long after the zombie apocalypse did you say this takes place?
100 years.
After 100 years?
Yeah.
And there are still bullets and guns, and are like people going in to take axes and baseball bats and...
or are we just pulling a Mad Max and we have some people just making the ammo again?
Oh, that absolutely.
Well, I was gonna say, did we lose, Boston and the UK immediately because they weren't allowed to have guns?
Hey, we've got shotguns, damn it. We've got lots of shotguns.
It's not a problem. So the first part of that question I need to answer is that this does not take place on Earth. It is a world dire. And this is not an accident. There's actually an entire expansion explaining what the hell I'm on about, because I feel like I have to explain what the hell I'm on about. But yes, it does not take place on Earth. It is a planet very similar to Earth, but it is not Earth. In fact, that is true of all of my era games. Nothing takes place on Earth. I think that's true. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you were here until 7, and we are now past that. So
Oh,
if
wait,
there are
is
any
it?
other...
We are 7 minutes past. Yes.
Oh, so we are.
If anyone else has any quick questions, I will make sure all of those links go
Yes,
into
and
the re-upload when it's done.
I do just want to quickly shout out while anyone types out their questions. If you would like to try Era Survival, one of the links that will be posted on this video by the Eclectic Goat at the end is actually a link to our Discord. Feel free to join us. Join us. We run games on our Discord. It's what we do. It's what Discord is for the most part. You're very welcome to join us and ask for an Era Survival game, or ask to join one if there's already one running. Come and try out the game, or any of the other games, if anything else sounds interesting. Why not Earth, even if an alternate one? Why Earth? Why should it be Earth? I don't. I don't necessarily feel that there are reasons beyond that flippant answer to that question.
I suspect we'd
But
have to get into the source material, though.
I
there is a meta plot throughout the throughout the era games, which you would have to have certain era games to know. Familiarity, okay, that's a good reason. However,
Actually, I think it's an excellent reason not to have it be Earth.
yes,
that's
what
why
I'm
I
trying
write
to say.
fantasy, because I don't really want to deal with Earth.
The lack of familiarity with what it is like is part of what you should have in a zombie apocalypse. What would Earth be like in 100 years under these circumstances? I wouldn't like to guess.
My brother had a question for you also, I noticed.
Any plans having it sold in print via Amazon?
No, because Amazon are terrible individuals who take 60% of your sale price, and I cannot afford to put this on Amazon.
I'm sorry, I have to print via Amazon because I've had this conversation with the goat before. I cannot afford to publish otherwise. I have no other resources.
Hey, I'm not criticizing you, okay? I'm just saying Amazon is that they are not nice people. They do not
No, they're not
nicely. I have had some of my books rejected on the basis that they are too similar to other things. And then, even once I got past that on some of the books, which is ridiculous because I can buy 5 variations of the same cardboard box.
That's strange because I've never had that issue with mine.
I have.
I don't know what they're even doing there.
And once I got past that, I discovered that they take between 60 and 70% of the sale price, which I cannot afford to do.
My loathing for Amazon is fairly well known, so
I completely understand. My issue is I wanted to get my stuff out, and I was willing to honestly do it at a loss just to get it out there where people could see it. That's my dysfunction, I guess.
So sorry, I just want to answer JAWD there. So the characters would know what's going on when a player takes over that character, or be more familiar with the world than knowing nothing. Yes, that's true. However, it does depend a lot on the character. And like I said, I gave the example of the guy who was backpacking across the world to find himself in the zombie apocalypse. That person basically didn't read the book, and he never went anywhere near his home, so he didn't need to know anything more than he already knew, and that actually immersed very nicely. You can read the book, you can find out the things you need to know, and I would rather that in most cases you feel that sense of loss, uncertainty, lack of awareness, nervousness. It adds to the experience of playing a survival horror game, which is inspired by the games like Resident Evil 1 and 2, where you're not, like I said, you are not sure whether to fire this bullet or whether the noise of doing so will attract more infected and you'll get killed, or whether it's your last bullet and you might need that later for yourself, and so on.
I kind of like the idea of it not being Earth because
me too.
It's sort of while it's probably very, very close to being Earth, so an awful lot of things like gravity and the usual things are going to take place. It does allow you a lot more freedom as a writer to then just throw in an absolute curveball here and there.
You don't have to have. This is what used to be England.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a bit of technology which you know is sort of familiar to something you do know, but it looks and sounds or feels completely different.
It's why I did fantasy, and I made it clear that it was not taking place in Earth in my book. So even though there was firearm technology, I explained throughout that it came from somewhere entirely different than it would have from Earth.
Yeah, and if you think about the absolute classics of fantasy fiction, I mean, obviously Tolkien is writing about Middle Earth, which is not Earth. You're talking about Conan, which is not Earth,
right?
But they are, of course, familiar and yet just different enough for you to be able to throw the fantasy element in whenever you need to. And I think that just gives you a little bit more creative freedom to play around with, doesn't it? It gives you a little bit more grey area around the borders to just change things up a little bit.
And I agree with it.
It's also worth noting that once you are holding the book in your hands and you're running this game, nothing stops you basing it in your hometown if that's what you
Sure.
want to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nothing stops
You can make
from
it as
doing
familiar or as unfamiliar as you want, can't
that. Exactly. Whereas
And the
if you say it is Earth, you will immediately end up with most people going, "This is how it works.
you? Hmm.
yeah, I
This
was
is
just
what we're
gonna
doing. This
say
is where
that
we are."
you can always
Yeah.
change it. You can always change it to be Earth, but if it's written as Earth, you can't change it to not be Earth.
Now, Ed, if you don't mind, I have an answer to this question that was just asked here.
Yeah.
In regards to, he said, if I don't know the location, I don't have the same emotional ties to it. I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel that's really strongly going to depend on the DM or the writer, depending if you're playing a game or reading a book.
Yeah.
If
Totally.
if
Think about the Shire in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
you care,
exactly.
You care about the Shire. You care that they're going to have
I
their
don't.
entire way of life destroyed, aren't you?
Right.
I wanted them to destroy it.
in
Hey, leave those little hobbits alone. How dare you?
in my book, I start the book in this little tiny kingdom of centaurs, and I establish this place because they're peaceful people, and it's very it's injustice in its base form when this place gets attacked and these people are killed because they weren't really bothering anybody. But you have to set it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that basically you do not care about the location. You care about the people, the history, the various things that are a detail of that location.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the city that
I-
it is. It's the fact that the people are peaceful and got annihilated.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Consider when you play something. I mean, I'm going to use D&D as a basis because I mean a lot of people play it. But if you think about D&D, again, not set on Earth, but it's the characters and the party that you're involved in. Usually, most people when they come to D&D on session one, they have got an absolute just a thumbnail sketch of a character. They have no real vested interest in the character at that point. It's only the journey and the characters and the building that goes along the building of the characters that goes with each succession. Every time you play, that sort of builds that feeling towards them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you know, it
I'm
doesn't really
I'm
matter
gonna
if you
cut
don't
this
know anything
off a
about the
little bit
world.
because I don't
Uh-oh.
want this to become like an entire stream about like
Writing.
somebody who thinks that the book should have been written differently. The fact is that
Sorry.
it's up to the game master to make you care about a
Yeah.
place or a people. And if they can
Absolutely.
do that, they can do that, and if they can't, they can't. So,
Mhm.
Indeed.
any
Agreed.
other questions, or shall we let Ed go to bed? Before 1 a.m.
It's fine. I just have to be up at 6 tomorrow. It's cool. Don't worry about it.
If you
Oh,
sleep like me, you'll be
trust-
awake before then anyway.
Trust me, I have been on streams with Smilex before until like midnight or 1 a.m. and my husband gets up for work on weekends at 4. So I
My
feel your
wife
pain.
too.
I feel your pain.
Mm.
All right, well, thank you very much. It has
Well-
been very interesting. I am absolutely going to look up that site. I am unfortunately one of those people that shipping would be a nightmare for. But I was going to ask, do you still go to that convention? Because the UK convention is actually one of the things on my bucket list.
Huh.
I do still go to MCM Comic Con. In fact, twice a year, every year at the moment, I am running a panel about how to be creative, and I am running a workshop where we create our own tabletop role playing game. Where last time we did that, we came up with this. It's called Era Shark Ninja, and you play as a ninja shark who fights diesel punk alien robots who've enslaved humanity so that they can drill the oil from Earth and power their galactic invasion fleet.
Is this
Wow.
the book? Is this the book that Amazon said was too familiar to something else they already had?
I'm not done. You fight to free humanity not through altruism, but because people taste better when they're free range.
Oh, that's true.
Hi,
That is
Yarn
true.
Witch. Nice
Yeah.
to see you in the chat.
Nice.
Yeah, can relate.
So
Free range humans.
Delicious.
free range humans. So that's what we came up with during the, and I felt like I had to prove, like, put my money where my mouth is. You know, if we're gonna do this workshop, we're gonna do this. So yeah, that's. So yes, I do still go, and I do try to contribute and It was a fun workshop, and I was able to credit all of the people who turned up to it. I don't know if you can see
Nice
that
one.
there, but
Excellent.
Oh yeah,
that's all
okay.
who turned up to the workshop.
I want you
and
to know that you were going to come back and you were going to present that because I want to know if there's a difference between free range vegans and free range
Mm.
omnivores.
Oh,
So yes, I absolutely do still attend MCM Comic Con in London twice a year, every year. Yep.
I didn't even know it ran twice a year. Interesting. I thought it only
May
ran
and
in.
October.
May was the only one I knew about, so that's
And
actually cool because
just
October
in
is way
case,
better.
I want to do a tiny shout out for one other thing, which
Mhm.
is if you are a role player and you are in England in January, there is a convention that you should go to. It is, as far as I know, the largest convention of its kind. It is literally a week of 3-4 hour sessions a day, every day. It's called Contingency, and it takes place over in East Anglia in Hunstanton. It is absolutely fantastic. It's actually coming up. I've been doing my prep for a little while, and I tend to run a number of games during that period of time. So I've been doing my prep for it. I'm really excited, and every year it is fantastic. If you are around, definitely worth going.
It's hard to be guaranteed a flight where I am in January because
yeah.
I do not live in a warm, dry area.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, that other convention I knew about the May one. I didn't know, and I've
Yeah,
been
October
trying
as
to
well.
figure out. May is unfortunately lambing season, and the goats need milking in May, so it's a
Yeah.
real tough time for me to travel. But
Yeah.
October is great because
October is actually usually the bigger of the two.
sweet. I have family I have never met in person there, and it's
I
fairly
cannot.
near.
I cannot fathom having the amount of money it would take to travel that far right now.
Okay, you have to understand, I can literally fly to England cheaper than I can fly to California to visit my brother.
Oh, you'd have to pay me to fly to California.
But my point is it's actually less expensive than going many places in this country.
Eh.
Well, if you ever do end up over here, then reach out and let me know because we'll meet up.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful night, and we will definitely have you back to talk about sharks and free range humans.
Wow.
Absolutely, I would love to come back. Thank you so much for having me, and yeah, have a lovely evening, everyone.
Cheers, Ed. That was
Good
great.
night.
Smilex,
Oh, hi.
talk to us about the dead of winter.
Dead of Winter, yeah. Okay. More zombies, I think.
Well, man, now I'm wishing I'd picked a different game. We could have
Yeah,
had a
right.
theme.
Who was talking about the Thing board game?
That was me.
Yeah,
actually, the
right.
last one.
There's a little bit of familiarity, I think, in Dead of Winter. I do remember the Thing board game coming out, but I think there's a lot of similar themes in this game as well. I'm just going to see if I can actually share anything with you. Let me just check.
You should be able to share your screen if you've got
Yeah.
visuals.
Let's try that.
Yeah, mine is just like EV hates me tonight. It's claiming I have like 1 bar of internet, which is absolute nonsense.
Now, will that allow me to share?
You might have to just do it on your camera.
Here we go.
Yeah, there
Okay.
you go. Okay.
There we go. So that's the game.
Nope, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. There we go. I'll learn
Okay.
eventually.
That's fine.
That looks familiar. I feel like I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah, it's been around, I think, since about 2014, 2015, something like
Yeah.
that. So it has been around for about 10 years. It got quite a bit of acclaim when it came out. I think it got quite high reviews on what do you call it? Board game thingy.
Yeah, board game. You know,
that one.
I did not recognize this when you first showed it to me, but I do think I have vague memories of this.
I'm a terrible person. It's because I recognize that blonde up in the corner with the glasses. That's
Right.
what keyed me into it.
I just recognize the setup.
It is pretty cool. We have zombies. Obviously, we have zombies in a zombie game.
Right.
Of course, we do. We have some survivors. A lot of very kooky characters for you to choose from. they have their own stats, and some of them are better than others at various different tasks.
Mm.
You can quite clearly see Bill Murray on the left there as Santa. Um, so that's nice. Um, so yeah, you have various locations to visit during your game, and various items that you can pick up along the way. Um, but I suppose really it's probably better for me just to give you a bit of an overview on this one.
Okay.
Um, it's a lot like episodes of The Walking Dead, and I
Mm.
guess there's a little bit of an element of the TV show Lost as well, in that
Hmm.
you are all survivors. You're all in this compound together, and at the start of each term, you'll get a crisis, and the crisis will tell you what you need to do on that turn. So it may be something as simple as picking up a lot of food or fuel, or trying to spy on a particular location to see if it's clear, or board up some windows. But whatever the crisis is, you try and resolving that on your turn. Um, the basic aim of the game is that you want to survive the amount of turns that you've got. You depending on the how intense you want to play the game, you can choose the difficulty basically. So you can start the game with anything from about 3 moves all the way up to about 10, and you've got with 10 rounds of
Mm.
play. And effectively, the game is over once you reach the zero. The other way that the game can end is if the morale of the party drops to zero, and there's various things along the way that
Ooh.
can do that, such as characters dying, or all of the food is depleted, or whatever it may be. There's lots of little things along the way that can start the morale counter going down.
Ooh.
What I absolutely love about the game, though, one of the best parts of it is that at the very start of the game, each of your characters will have you will draw a card out for each of your characters and look at it secretly, and it will tell you whether or not one of your characters is a traitor. And your rules then are quite different to everybody else who's playing at the table. So
Right.
the rest of the team is trying its best to keep alive, boarding up windows, collecting fuel, collecting medicine. One of the people at the table, is attempting to make it very difficult for the camp to actually get to its goal. Um,
Got it.
there's an element of werewolf to this to some degree.
Oh.
There's a little bit of you play cards. Um, I'll give you an idea. There is a very big emphasis on making sure that you've got enough resources. So
Mm.
you want to have enough food at the end of each round to feed each of the surviving players. And if you don't have enough food, then that's when your morale starts to drop. So one of your players will be asking you to contribute X amount of food to solve the crisis. You will then look at the cards of your equipment and your inventory that you've got given, and then decide to give something to the stash. Now, you don't have to actually give food. You can give something else entirely, or you may have 10 food cards in front of you, and then to say to the rest of the party, "Actually, I just don't have any food to give." So,
Oh. Oh.
so you can play in a very strategic way and screw the party over.
So
Um,
they're traitors in that they're like self-sufficient, not that they're like they've been bitten or they're actually actively trying to help the zombies win.
No, you can get bitten, and that does lead to other problems. But the traitor is a bit like just effectively like a very Weasley character that is in it for themselves. They want all of the food, they want all of the fuel, they want to get the
So it's
keys to the car to get out of there.
if you'll forgive my reference, it's kind of like, I forget his name, but the bald guy from the first Night of the Living Dead movie that was
Yeah,
kind of trying to screw
yeah.
over everybody else.
Exactly. You'll be given a very good motivation on the card when you're the betrayer, when you're the weasel in this group, as to why you're doing what you're doing, and your motivations will be in keeping with your character. So it's got a lot of story to it, and another element of it at the start of each round is that if you're the first player, then the player to your right will pick up a card before you start your move and read the first part of it to themselves.
Right.
And then if the elements of what's going to happen. So if, for example, it might say something simple like if 3 of the players are in the compound at the start of the turn, then this might happen, and it triggers a little bit of story. So you may get a little bit more, you may get a message on the CB radio that tells you something else is going to happen at a certain point in the game. So you're getting a little bit of story element coming through the game all the time. So it doesn't ever feel like just a procedure of rolling dice and just killing zombies and getting food. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more flavor to this game.
I was going to ask how the replayability was, but it sounds like it's pretty good if you've got.
It is
that
really
story
good.
element.
Yeah, it is really good. There's loads of cards, loads of different crises that happen, and with only about 10 rounds, maximum, and probably about 50, 60 different crisis cards coming out in a random order each time, then yeah, the game is going to be slightly different each time you play it. With enough story on the game to sort of keep you motivated. They've done expansion packs, I think, since as well to keep things even stranger and expand it beyond the compound, make it even weirder for you. But it is a great game. I mean, I really like playing it. It's great when you've got a bunch of about 3 or 4 people. That seems to be the sweet spot. About 4 players seems to be the sweet spot, really. But yeah, and the combat is very, very simple. You can effectively explain this game in about 10 minutes, even though it looks quite intimidating when you first see it. I mean, if I go back to the first page, which has got this sort of various setup, it looks like there's going to be quite a bit to do, but really there isn't that much. That effectively is the main board that you're playing with. This is where all of your guys start out at in the compound, and you're effectively barricading up windows and doors, and trying to go to various locations to uncover more things that you might need to help the camp survive. There's some clever little mechanics in it. You can search for things on your turn, and if you decide you haven't got the thing you want, you can try again, rolling a dice, but it will make noise. And each time you search, it will make more noise.
That is a similar system to the game, the board game we play, Zombicide, where if you search an area, it has a chance to make noise and attract the zombies towards you.
Yeah, absolutely. I played Zombicide, and you're absolutely right. That does sort of this will do that same sort of thing at the end of the round. It will. You can take you take the noise counters, you flip them over, and and depending on which way they sort of land, will decide if there's going to be more zombies there next time or not. So
it's funny too. You mentioned the Bill Murray Santa Claus thing. My Zombicide 2nd edition, I actually have a miniature of like the Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry that came from one of those games.
He'd be pretty effective.
You mentioned that this has some aspects of Lost in it.
I think it's really just in the case of it gets very paranoid, does Lost, as the series goes on, and you're not quite sure who's working for who, and that's the element I'm really thinking about. It really just feels a lot like episodic television. That kind of Walking Dead, Lost, that kind of stuff. It does feel that way when you're playing the game.
Now, is there a thing with you were saying sometimes you get like the scumbag who's basically trying to turn on the rest of the group?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any kind of designator for that? Because I know in the thing that is designated by the draw of cards in the beginning of the game.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Which reminded me of it when you were saying it last week. You are given randomly a card for each of the characters that you're going to play. Most players are playing 2 characters, so you'll be given you'll draw out 6 cards out of a deck of about 10. And you'll look at the cards, and one of you may be the betrayer. The chances are you may not have a betrayer in your game at all. Okay. You could all be playing, very well as a team, and
that is one thing that's definitely different because in the Outpost 31 game, you're guaranteed to have
a bad guy,
one infected.
So can you have more than one
No, it's just the
Betrayer?
one. Just the one. I think. I
Okay.
think maybe having more than one would probably imbalance the game a little bit.
Well, I'm thinking it would be a little strange to be playing two characters and one of them is the traitor and one of them isn't, and I have to pretend I don't know that.
I guess it's mainly Well, I guess I know what you're saying, but you have different object. You have your own set of uh, sort of goalposts for each of your characters.
Hmm.
So if you get your other character to your goalpost, then that's another win for you. So effectively, you can play both characters.
So this isn't a cooperative game then.
It's cooperative in the sense that, for the most part, the party is trying to work together to get fuel, to get food, to get medicine, to get the right equipment to be able to start the car or get to the helicopter or whatever it may be to get the hell out of this place.
Hmm.
So for the most part, that is the way it's played. However, the Betrayer does add a weird sort of a little kink to the game. There's also the problems of winter. You can get frostbite in this game. You can
Oh
also,
yeah.
so that can also cause problems, and you can get bitten and then infect other people as well, which also can cause a major issue.
Yeah, just a little.
And you can roll very evil dice, possibly the most evil dice ever for any board game ever made, which can give you instant death or successes. But you've got about a 1 in 12 of getting instant death, so
Oh, gee.
you can be out of the game pretty quick if you have rolls like I usually do.
So yeah, the reason I was asking about the loss thing. Does it end better?
Oh.
Yeah, it's like totally. It definitely ends better than Lost does. Yeah, I think it's pretty satisfying. I've played this a few nights, with a big bunch of people, and we've had a lot of fun with it. It's a good game where once you know the rules, it's very simple. So you can drink, you can you can you can do all the things that relax you, and you don't have to be too serious about it. It's a little bit silly, but it just, as I say, the story on the cards just keeps the flavor going, just keeps the atmosphere going, and there's enough about it to give you that replay as well. We've played multiple sessions on a night, and it's been a lot of fun.
Very
But
nice.
also, as I say, the one thing about it, the fact that it is only a set amount of turns, also keeps it fairly short. You can play a game in half an hour or 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how difficult you set the challenges at the start of the game.
All right.
So where do you find this? How much does it cost?
I think I picked it up for about £40, so I guess that'll be about for $55.
I've seen this here in the States, I want to say for around $50 to $60, give or
Yeah.
take, depending on the store. Because I've actually seen this just on the shelf in a couple of gaming stores once or twice myself.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I would imagine you can get this on Amazon because it was a fairly big release when it came out.
Yeah.
You could probably find it other places too. I think the actual company that originally put it out, I think they've been bought up by somebody else now. I was looking at the rule book for this when I was taking these photos, and I'm pretty sure the how to play section. Please visit our website to how to play. I don't even think you can find this game on their website anymore for some weird reason. So I guess it's been bought by a bigger company. But all of the tutorials you can still find on YouTube, and they're very easy. As I say, watch a tutorial on YouTube. It's quicker than reading the rules, and you'll learn in about 10 minutes.
That is the case with so many games.
Yeah,
Oh.
but yeah,
My
great fun.
my New Year's Eve game this year did not get very far because the
Uh-oh.
rules, we'd played it before, but it was like 2 years ago and we'd never played it since.
What game was it?
And it's called Sands of Shurax or Shurax. I don't know how they pronounce it.
okay.
Shurax. And yeah, whoever wrote the rules on that did they did not get an they did not get an editor because there is a whole lot of, well, I know how this works in my head and therefore you should too.
Uh-oh.
Did either of you ever try Gloomhaven?
I
I'm
have this-
aware of it, but I haven't played it.
I have the small version. I don't
Right,
have the.
I've got the big fat version. It's like it's effectively just one U-Haul truck to itself. It's
I have this weird
ridiculous.
array of stuff. I have like a G.I. Joe tactical miniatures game. I have Masters of the Universe, which is a similar game, but way, way like 3 boxes worth of bigger. And the
Yeah.
only ones we've been able to actually sit down and play has been Zombie Side because of time constraints.
Yeah, I like Zombicide. That's a lot of fun.
So yeah, my entertaining story about Gloomhaven is that when Gloomhaven came out, I had just had surgery,
Oh,
and I could not buy the box. I could not buy the full game because it was literally above my allowed lift weight limit.
Oh right, yeah.
oh,
It is heavy. It is very heavy.
yeah,
Wherever
yeah.
you start that game is where you're going to play it because you are not lifting and taking that thing to other people's houses. It's
That
ridiculous.
Masters of the Universe game, if you're gonna play the full thing like we got it, it's like a stack of 3 boxes. Um,
I found the rules in Gloomhaven kind of intimidating. Actually, I've got to say. I mean, just a lot to get through, and the
if you want to
yeah,
laugh,
different.
look up the rules. There's a game based on Bloodborne. Look up the rules for that one.
I think I've seen that. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's a brilliant game. The miniatures are beautiful, but we started looking through the rules like we don't have time to play this.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So-
I've got a couple that I still haven't unboxed yet downstairs.
So what we did figure out eventually was that Sands of Shirax has a quick play version,
Yeah.
but they don't mention it until you get to page 36 in the rules.
Oh,
Of
And
course,
I was
why
like-
not? Why would you do that? Why would you?
And,
why would you
and
just
by
do
then
that?
we were all so frustrated and drunk anyway that
Yeah, you were throwing the pieces around the room at that point.
we're like, nah, forget it. We're already here.
wow.
But
Mm.
questions from the chat about Dead of Winter.
All right.
I know this is not, the same as having somebody that wrote their own game, but
Yeah,
We don't all have
we-
time to do that.
we can pretend I wrote it if you like. I don't mind.
have you ever been to that UK convention?
No, I've
that
been
they
to multi conventions which have had an element of board gaming, tabletop role playing at them. So I've been to stuff where like where there's been lots of celebrities and that's going on as well. And video game ones as well. I've been to some of those and they've had some tabletop stuff as well. But I don't think I've been to one which is dedicated just to tabletop and gaming, board gaming. But I quite fancy the one that Ed was talking about. It sounds a lot of fun. That.
Yeah, I keep trying to find somebody that's actually like been to it. I mean, it sounds like he pretty much was stuck at his table, but
A lot of those, I mean, the
yeah.
ones I've been to that have had that element to it, they are a lot of fun, and they usually get some good, very enthusiastic people to get you to sit down and try a few rounds of whatever they're playing. I mean, I remember playing Werewolf at some of these places when it was first coming out, and lots of other games like that. Lots of the kind of games that you can play in 5 minutes, like Ticket to Ride and stuff like that. You can just get straight in without any sort of deep lore requirement. But they're very good. They're very enthusiastic about the project, about whatever it is that they're talking about. So, yeah, I recommend some of those things. They're a lot of fun.
yeah, the reason the UK one specifically is on my bucket list is that more and more US conventions are going to this thing where the game masters have to pay to get in,
Yep.
and then
Well, there's also the issue if you're familiar with the RPGA.
well, I'm not, but I really have an issue with the fact that hello Zombie Box Reviews. I really have an issue with the fact that your convention is made successful by game masters,
Yep.
but you're making the game masters and they're coming at their own expense. They cover their own hotels, they do their own thing, and then you make them pay to get in the convention.
And some of these conventions actually put pretty strict restrictions on you too when it comes to how you run your games.
Yeah, sadly, I think a lot of the conventions have got very corporate in the last 10, 15 years. The ones I usually attend are film and TV related. So, I've been going to those for about 25 years. And there's definitely been a big change in the last 10 in terms of pricing for autographs and photos and what have you. But it does seem like there's a few big companies that are behind a lot of the conventions in the UK, which sadly do take a big slice out of it, and do take a bit of the fun out of it too, which is a bit of a shame.
But that particular convention though actually uses some of the funds to get in to not only allow the game masters in,
Mhm.
but like gets them if they're running like all weekend, they cover like food and
Right.
hotel rooms and everything else,
Yeah.
which I have never known a US convention to do, and I thought that was really awesome. So
Yeah, well, I hope that's still the case because that sounds fantastic, and they should do really because they're bringing people in, and they're creating buzz, which is the kind of the point of having the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's just it's to build up an audience and to get people into the hobby, so that they keep coming back. I mean, it's the gateway drug. They come in,
Yeah.
they come in, they get the first baggie for free, and then they go out and buy all of the dice and the accoutrements that go with it.
Yeah,
but
pretty
I
much.
really think that that's a great, and there's not this, well, you can get through the front door, but then you can't play any games until or attend any of the events without
Mhm.
additional monies. So
Yeah.
I think there are table fees, but that's how they cover the expenses for the game masters. So I don't really have an issue with that.
Yeah.
No.
And they're quite small. It's like $4 or something. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why I really want to attend that one, because I really like the idea of a convention that still supports its game masters.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, if you ever do, hook us up. Let me know. Maybe I'll make the trip to London. That horrible, horrible place, London.
I am. Is it in London?
I think he said it was. I think he said that one was.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds
He said there
familiar.
was one in East Anglia, but the big one was in London twice a
I
year.
thought it was just outside, because I have a relative that's like a half hour from there. But my sense of UK geography is of course terrible, because
Most
I
of
li-
my relatives, at least the surviving ones, left Europe and Russia and moved here like generations ago. So
well, and we were educated by a stateside public school, so therefore we don't know squat about any geography, much less other people's. Anything else about your zombie game?
Anything else? As I say, expansions exist, and it's.
Have you played them?
I haven't played them, but they do look interesting. I think if I was playing more regularly, I would probably invest. But given that I've got about 4 games here that I've not even unboxed,
understandable.
Same.
it's probably low on the list. I've still got Massive Darkness. I've still got about 3 others to get into. So, well, it may be on the list eventually, but not right now.
Well, when you open those ones up, you'll have to come tell us about them.
Absolutely right.
So the expansions allow for more players, different scenarios.
You
Or do you know?
more scenarios. I know there's a graveyard section to it, which comes into it in quite a big way. So they've probably got some brand new mechanics for it, which expand. They do say that you can incorporate the expansion rules into the original version. So I probably should look into that, because they say that they've kind of tweaked a few things to make the flow of gameplay better in the expansion. So it's probably worth looking into. If you get into the game and you enjoy playing the base game, it's probably worth looking into and doing that bit of research and figuring out if there's even cooler ways to play it.
So it's not like an expansion that completely changes the rules.
I don't think it changes everything. I think it really is expansion, the truest form of the word. I think it just expands on the original game.
I have I have a game called Necromancer that I will probably go over at some point, but it
Hey, I'm not that so Saturn.
Hi, Adam. Wow.
That's what I was giggling about. So the original game is you play a necromancer and you're fighting other necromancers to become like the big bad evil in the world.
This
But
sounds great.
in the expansion, it becomes a cooperative game, and all the necromancers have to try and beat off goods before it overthrows them.
Right.
Oh, jeez.
So it becomes a completely different game.
Much like how I team up with Barbara to try and kill Jay Goodwin every week on B-sides.
Wow. Wow.
Hasn't worked yet, Dad.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
No worries.
You also are across the pond. Do you need sleep, or are you
No,
going to
it's
hang out with
fine.
us while Farv does his?
Yeah, whatever. Sleep, whatever. I'm
I
Yeah.
sticking
mean,
around. I'll stick around a little longer.
The
you do
problem
hang
with
you do hang out on B-sides a lot, and they apparently don't ever sleep. So
the problem with me and sleep is I don't like it, and even when I want it, I usually can't get it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's okay. Yeah.
Well,
all right, Farv, you're up.
all right. So
How are we gonna
originally, I don't
how are
know. I'm going
how
to
are
try
we
to
gonna
fight with the
manage this?
camera. I'm going to try to
Okay.
fight with the camera. I don't know. See, I had dug out a bunch of our books to talk about this, so we'll see how bad the camera decides to behave itself. Because EV has been just crapping on my head like a pigeon all night. Um,
So just
all
talk really slow, and that'll line it up with the pictures, and we'll be all set.
right. God help me. Okay, so I'm here to talk about not board gaming, but we're talking about actual tabletop here. We have the Palladium Fantasy and Role Playing Game Fantasy, and this is second edition. There is a first edition. Um, the interesting thing about this, yeah, and I can see it's lagging still. It hates me.
Like I said, just talk slow.
But the interesting thing about this is the difference not only in the system, which I'm not going to get into because we've been at this for a while already, is the difference in, I want to say, freedom of choice kind of in this game as opposed to something like, say, D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give an example, I'm looking at the character background page. You can either choose or roll on the following: birth order, weight, height, age, disposition, so in other words, your character's general attitude towards things, your land of origin, type of environment, social family background, and you can even race if you have a role or choose if you have particular racial hostilities. That's just in character creation.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
And then if you look in the glossary here, talking about, let's say, because around the time this came out, I guess we'd compare it to between second and third edition AD&D, or AD&D and like say third edition D&D. And the list for like player character races here. This is before any expansion books. Player characters. Let's see, where are my races? Here we go. Okay, character races. We have humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, troglodytes, kobolds, goblins, goblin cobblers, hobgoblins, orcs, ogres, trolls, changelings, wolfen, and that one takes some explaining, coils. And then if your DM lets you, they have a submenu for playing demons.
Hmm.
We have sub-demons, lesser demons, and then greater demons, although greater demons is strongly advised against even in the player's guide. But it's still an option if the DM lets you get away with it.
And this came out when D&D still only had like 4 races as an option.
Yeah.
So this was kind of a big deal at the time. I only ever played Rifts, but I do remember this vaguely.
Yeah, and Rift, this the thing too, this big buggerly thing was like $26, which was not bad. And they have a thing in here too where some races you play have kind of built in racial tensions that you could use for plot hooks. For example, the Wolfen and the humans have a historical racial bias in this setting. So if you roll a Wolfen, you actually have the option to use that to where, for like the sake of role playing, if there are any humans around, you already have potential racial tension. And then we have things like this, which is one of the support books. And this is a bestiary of just, oh my god, it's like, what is it? It says in the back here 200 creatures in this book to be used for the setting. And there are several races in here that can actually be converted into more player character races. So that's even more racial options for rolling a character in this book.
Yeah, I suspect that that's where D&D eventually ended up ripping that off, because
Probably. And this game in this setting kind of went all out because centaurs, for example, exactly, which is where I part of where I got the idea for my book is years ago when we were playing this. And then they even went above that and they gave us this, which was a source book literally for what it says on the cover: dragons and gods to be used in your settings.
I'm sort of pleased that dragons ends up with gods instead of just being just with the other animals.
Yeah, there's a thing literally and it even has attached OCCs. Like there's a character class in here for the Dragon Slayer that is in the glossary for the dragon section. There's like, let me see if I can get this to come up on camera. There were vampires in here. There were greater demons. There are the equivalent of great old ones. There's so much stuff in these books to be used. And this is just a tiny bit of what we have shelves of the books that go to this setting because they've been supporting this setting for literally years. They only recently did the second edition and they've not gone beyond second edition for Palladium Fantasy. All they've done is add to it.
How long has this been out?
Oh, Lord. Let me see if I can find the ISBN on the original second edition main book where the date is at. Because I can't honestly remember. That's considered this is second edition. It should be in the open cover here. Let me double check for you. Let's see, the copyright for this is 1983 and 1988.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I was gonna say it's been at least 30 years.
That's amazing, yeah.
And this is still getting support on their website. There's still books coming out for this and Rift second edition.
Yeah, it is apparently one of the few games that Wizards of the Coast couldn't kill when they went on their.
They'll try, though.
They did. They tried.
They did try.
They either tried to drive out of business and or buy up pretty much everything they thought might be competition. The exception was White Wolf, which did an excellent job of putting itself out of business.
Oh, I don't even want to get into that. That was painful. And this is considering Palladium still being around, is considering that they even had some internal company issues a few years ago. Yeah, second edition came out in 96. The original copyright was 83.
Yeah, okay.
But they had some internal issues at Palladium where the owner, Kevin Simbata, had an issue with one of he wasn't the owner of the IP, but was one of the co-runners of the company, basically kind of stabbed him in the back. And out of respect for the man not wanting to cause a problem, I won't bring up too much about it because Simbata himself said, please don't make this a big deal once it's over. But there was some internal issues where somebody basically tried to screw him over and then ended up leaving the company because he couldn't manage to do it the way he wanted to. So the company's been through some trouble and they're still around.
Much to my surprise. I thought the game had gone out ages ago.
No, unfortunately, it's just because, like you said, of D&D and a lot of the, I hate to put it away, but a lot of the socio-political nonsense that's become so rampant in tabletop gaming, Kevin kind of stepped back a little bit out of being like super publicly available. So the company's still around and the games are out there, but you kind of got to know to look for it. Because I feel like maybe wisely he kind of stepped a little further from the mainstream to just try to maintain the IP the way he wanted it to be.
He didn't want to become the next Gary Gygax with everybody bad-mouthing him.
Yeah, that might honestly have something to do with it.
He said a thing wrong once.
Yeah. And I couldn't blame him for that, to be honest. But this is a game that my brother and I have been playing between Rifts and Palladium Fantasy for years, using the same books and occasionally getting new books to supplement the books we already had. There's not been a book in these settings that we have needed to continue to play the game. It's been a matter of us looking and going, hey, there's stuff in that book that looks interesting, let's get it. But we never needed it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a
It's
sign. That's a sign of a good role playing game. Is that
hmm
you want the supplements. You don't have to have the supplements.
in terms of actually playing it. Is it a game that is very much pencil and paper, and you need to have your people physically there in the room, or can you play this over the
I've
over
never
PC?
tried to play it over the internet, but I'm pretty sure it mostly uses a D20 and D6.
Hmm.
So I'm pretty sure if you were using Roll20 or one of those other weird digital programs, you could probably manage it.
Right.
You just have to have people, get PDFs
Yeah.
or
Sort of
digitals of the
homebrew it,
character
and
sheets or whatever,
yeah, yeah.
because this is the system we actually used to homebrew because we were bored with playing 5e. We homebrewed Bloodborne
Right.
using Palladium Fantasy.
Okay.
I feel like there should be jokes there.
Probably. Um, my brother says it's old fashioned. You can play it online, but it's not great for that.
Right. I mean, that is the absolute
Mhm.
reason that D&D is so huge at the minute, is because they've got a very good online option. I mean, D&D Beyond, for all of the problems that D&D has, and there are plenty,
Oh yeah.
you can't fault D&D Beyond for its accessibility. I mean, I've got non-players who've never played a game before in their lives, ready to go in 15 minutes. On D&D Beyond, because it does all the maths for you. So all you've got to do
Yeah.
is pick your flavor of character, and off you go. Really,
And of course, I feel the issue, and you probably agree with me. D&D is they're trying to go too digital. At this point, they want to turn it into a digital
without a
marketplace,
doubt, and
which
it's
is
gonna.
driving people off.
Without a doubt, when you get the maps and characters and all the other stuff and you know exactly what they're going to do. It's just nickel and dime all of the players, microtransactions and all the rest of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can definitely see it coming. So, I mean, I'm not exactly hopeful for that, but I guess if you get a good bunch of people together, you can pick and choose the level of play, and
Right.
so I don't know. I feel like some of these other games, which are probably better systems than D&D, or at least have better worlds than D&D, would benefit greatly from really investing into the digital side of it.
Yeah. And
I
I mean,
I
just as an. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I do want to say that two of the games that I really enjoy, Shadow of the Demon Lord and Numenera,
Yeah.
I find are easier to learn than D&D, and they both play very well on Foundry.
We keep meaning to get into Numenera. Like, we've got some of the books, and we just have not had the time to learn it.
That was my intended game to talk about tonight, but I think we're gonna run out of time. So
Uh, I mean, like,
I will have it for another time.
yeah, and I'm up to do another one of these if you have another chance you want me in. But yeah, the other thing is this: we started out on the sci-fi setting, which the funny thing about Palladium is there is conversion books. Let's say you started playing the fantasy version, right? And you want to play the sci-fi one, they have conversion books where you can actually transfer your fantasy character into the sci-fi setting. The books are they're actually transferable. So you can take a fantasy character so long as the DM's okay with it and actually bring that character into their other settings.
Hmm.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, those crossover type games are pretty convenient for keeping the interest level up too. I mean,
And the nice thing is because they both use the same base mechanical setting with the 20s and 6s mostly, it's a matter of just getting your character equipment that will be suitable in the setting they're in, really. Yeah, there are tons of conversion books.
yeah,
Rifts
I think Rifts was a separate beast unto
Rifts
itself.
Rifts has expanded, for example, since you played it, Goat. There are so many world, country, and universe books now for Rifts that you could literally play Rifts in another galaxy entirely at this point.
Hmm. Interesting. Maybe I'll have to look it back up sometime.
Hey, Jacob.
All right. Any questions from? Because we are 2 minutes. I mean, we were 20 minutes late getting started, so I guess the fact that we're 2 minutes
Thanks
late
to
over.
technical difficulties over and over again.
Hey, Jacob.
Yeah, it was terrible. questions, comments,
Anybody?
concerns?
Yeah.
Clean jokes.
Clean joke. There were no
Oh.
clean jokes.
I've got to say, I've never even heard of that particular game, and it's been around for 40 years, so it's I'll definitely have a look into it.
If Goat wants, I sent her the link. She might be able to send it to you.
Right.
To their actual page, because they have an online store page.
All right. That's excellent.
You mean Eraserhead isn't already on that?
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
probably-
I just kind of
It's probably 3
assumed there
minutes
were-
ahead of everybody before we even finish the sentence. That boy, he knows.
Yeah,
what
I
he's
just assumed there were already 6 links in the chat or something. So,
doing.
uh-oh.
Yeah, I've seen the question. I'm refusing to answer it.
Oh, I know you don't approve, but I'm going to Discord you the link to my book, Goat. So if you want to put it in the description,
Yeah, when I re-upload, I will.
yeah, no problem. Because I honestly don't care. Like I said, I don't care about the thing. I just want people to read it. So that's why
Oh, you're
I just
talking about
took
the fact
hit.
that I disapprove of Amazon.
Yes.
Oh, I was like, why do I?
No,
disapprove of your book?
no. It's the
I was like,
whole
I'm
Amazon thing.
reading it. I don't.
I actually went through Amazon because it was the most convenient thing for me. And it's like my brother's like, they're going to take X amount. I was like, I don't care. I was like, I wasn't really expecting to make a lot of money on this. I spent $600 getting the artwork and shit done. Whatever.
So let me tell everyone, what you really do is just irritate him until he sends you a copy personally instead of making it go through Amazon.
You got a special exemption for that.
Like I said, you just have to be irritating enough.
You got an exemption because I like you. Don't get it the wrong way.
All right. Smilex, where are you going to be? When are you going to be there?
I guess I'll be on B-sides this weekend. Friday nights in the States, horrifyingly early Saturday morning for people in the UK. Watching some terrifying movie that Atom decides we all are going to enjoy, and generally speaking, that's not the
enjoy
case.
being in air quotes.
Oh yeah, it's definitely in air quotes. It's in Comic Sans actually, I think. So.
Oh jeez. Oh.
It's as good as
Adam,
it
what's the terrible B-sides movie this week?
He doesn't like to tell us in advance. He likes to make us wait until we can't say no.
I am pretty certain I've seen advanced calendars.
Oh no, he does occasionally. Yeah, he likes to tease us.
It's when he has like a theme month or something going on. Though.
Or does he just pull an EA? He puts up a roadmap and then just doesn't do it.
Yeah, that's right. It's like Disney announcing 20 Star Wars projects and then never putting them out.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I've never heard of that movie.
Oh.
I'm sure there probably is a movie called whatever.
It's probably going to be great though. Whatever.
It's some weird French foreign film about God knows what.
Yeah, 1936.
There will, however, be the mandatory PSA about not.
Never boiling a kettle on a boat. Absolutely.
He says, "I'll pick something tonight."
Never
when he's really drunk.
Oh.
Never boil a kettle on a boat.
Absolutely. What's to live by?
Wow.
Is that from something that I just don't get,
No.
or is that just?
No, it's a comedy PSA. But the thing is, I do like sending them UK public service announcements because there are so many legitimate ones which are just as stupid as that one.
As long as it's not that one with like Donald Pleasance talking about children dying.
They're all pretty grim. There's a lot of really grim ones.
I saw that horrible one about the kids playing on the railroad tracks like it was a freaking Olympics.
I'm particularly fond of the anti-speeding one that involves the car murdering an entire classroom of children.
Absolutely.
Oh, there was somebody, I think it was Larry Bundy, who actually put was that old Apache's PSA movie?
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
Oh God,
that is pretty grim as well. Yeah, lots of casualties, and I think it's more death than there is in Rambo. It's pretty awful.
Good Lord, Adam, you roped Sammy into this? What did he ever do to you?
Oh, poor Sammy.
OSHA safety videos. Oh God.
All right, Fav, where are you gonna be?
Okay. Thursday I have a Guild Wars 2 stream. I don't know which of my players are gonna make it because one of them's kind of pregnant, so her appearance is a bit of a crapshoot right now. But we should be.
Wait. Kind of pregnant.
She's stubborn, so I say her appearance is kind of a crapshoot. It depends on how stubborn she is that day.
You did say she was kind of pregnant, though, which is just raises all sorts of questions.
No, that's just me being hyperbolic. No, she tries to make it, but some days are better than others. Plus, she already has the last little one she had, and I think he's in like his terrible twos right now. So, oof.
The terrible twos, which are really around 3.
I do want more women to start using that that phrase that slutty dudes use in bars. You know, when people ask, "Have you got any kids?" and then men say, "Not that I know of." I really want women to start using that one more because that would just confuse the hell out of anybody. I think that's.
But yeah, we'll be doing the Guild Wars stream on Thursday, and on Monday we have another stream where we're going to be doing, I believe it's Grand Blue Fantasy Relink before our next poll goes up for people to vote on it.
Oh, see, I wasn't the only one that wondered about the kind of pregnant thing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you have any kids? Sorry, I don't have any spares.
We make weird jokes. Her and I have joked that we're basically siblings from like parents who never met. So we've known each other for a while. We have a weird sense of humor, both of us. So
I mean, I don't think you function on YouTube if you don't have a weird sense of humor.
I don't know how you function in life without one.
This is also true.
Fair. Very fair.
All right. So I am going to be here, hopefully at 6:00, if the computer decides it's going to work.
Mhm.
Every Wednesday we'll be doing Slice and Dice. Normally there will be pizza jokes and questions involved as well, but we ran out of time for that.
Oh, I have an answer for that, by the way. The Oreo pizza. Fucking disgusting.
That sounds
That
horrifying.
sounds horrible. Just
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I had a, what was it? It was a hamburger, Whopper. It was like a Whopper pizza or something. And I discovered that hot pickles are just not my thing. It's the reason I don't like pineapple on pizza. It's not that it's that I object to cooked pineapple, period. Pineapple
My
should not be
follow-up
hot.
question is, who the fuck made that pizza?
The Oreo one or the
No, I know who made the Oreo one. It was a terrible idea. No, the Whopper thing.
No, Domino's has a regular pizza on its menu here in the UK, which is just called the cheeseburger.
Yeah, cheeseburger pizza is pretty common. I just think it's terrible.
That has pickles on it.
I don't mind ground beef on pizza, but when you're trying to put the whole ass hamburger on there with everything, nah, that doesn't really work.
Yeah, and if you start getting into the mayo, we're totally.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. So for the record, next week's is going to be the weirdest thing you've ever had on a pizza.
Ooh.
Because I have mentioned this before, so I'm allergic to soy, and I can only get pizza from one place, and they have lots of really weird pizzas. So my goal, other than pork, because I don't eat pork, I'm gonna go through their whole menu for the sake of everyone here being able to laugh at me.
Oh wow.
And next week's, if I go down the menu, I think is the peaches and goat cheese.
Oh, that sounds.
Jacob,
awesome.
That is horrifying.
Oh yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Oh.
That one I will be happy to say I'm allergic to soy. I probably can't eat it.
I will be around. I can actually start scheduling to be around for these, by the way. Our Wednesday meetings are voluntary and they're not recorded things.
Well, I mean, I'm really desperately hoping that I'm not going to have, a huge amount of cancellations and people getting violent.
I mean, but I like popping on for these anyway, so I don't mind getting invited.
Well, I will keep that in mind if everyone else decides to get sick on me for the rest of the month.
I mean, sometimes you could just invite me on principle too. I don't need to be a substitution.
You weren't a substitution last week. But the
Oh
rest of
God,
this
Jacob, do I
the
want to
rest
see
of this
that?
month is hopefully booked as long as no one gets, and I'll be starting to book February.
Okay.
Probably in a couple of weeks. So we'll I'm not going to worry about it until then. I did finally, and at long last, mainly by staying up far too late last night, finish my The Book is Better Green Mile comparison script.
Nice.
So that is going to finally, 2 months late, get recorded tomorrow and hopefully be out by the end of the week. And by the end of the month, I hope to have the second half of my underappreciated 90s science fiction. I am busy
Oh, nice.
cramming.
Nice.
I am busy cramming Tech Wars as we speak. So
Oh, the books or the show?
the show.
Good luck. That's kind of a long haul.
It's only like 2 seasons. It didn't.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of just sitting down with your schedule, I mean, watching 2 whole seasons of a show is probably going to be a thing.
I am amazingly good at multitasking. Luckily, so.
That's fair enough.
And
I watched that show with my mother actually when it was on TV.
Did you know that you can like trim goat hooves and watch television at the same time?
I was
did
not
know that,
actually
yeah.
aware of that, but okay.
What do you think I'm doing now?
Oh,
I mean, I thought you were probably trimming otter nails, but
well, then it's easier than trimming cat nails. I'll tell you that for sure.
I mean, have you met an otter?
Yeah, I meant the goats.
I have.
All right. I want to thank everyone for making it. Farv, thank you very much for the fill-in. Smilex,
No
thank you very
problem.
much
Hey,
for
no
losing, more sleep than
It's
usual.
fine. It's fine.
Send help. If you ate that, you probably need it.
Thank you very much to everyone in the chat. Again, I apologize for all of the technical difficulties. Hopefully next week will be smoother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have realized Monday we had a little bit of a hiccup. But man, it was nothing like today. So I appreciate you all, and I hope to see everyone back again next week.
Cheers, chat folk.
Night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Meet me at the tavern, have a drink or two. I'm the eclectic goat, and I'm here to gab with you. We'll talk about immersion, adventure heavy lows, characters and story, warlocks and barbarians and bards, comedy or horror. We got inspiration if you're in need of it, or just need to hang out somewhere cozy. They're the guys for you. We've got time for you. Come and join the crew. Here's what to do. Meet us at the tavern, have a drink or two. I'm the eclectic goat, and I'm here to play with you. We'll discuss the theory and the mechanics, how we ask for crits, Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards. meet us at the tavern, have a drink or two. I'm the eclectic goat, and I'm here to play with you. We'll discuss the theory and the mechanics, how we ask for crits, Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards.